morning. Thank you for tuning in. This is Rua Word with me, Pastor Melvin Palmer. Today I want to start a new series, a three-part series, Relentless Faith with you. Now, faith is one of the most prevalent subjects in the church. It has been so for centuries. And many a times we struggle to really determine what is faith, or what is the right amount of faith or type of faith even that one should have to get the same result that we read about in the scriptures. Now, I was reading in the book of Joshua chapter 10 verse 1 to 14. Joshua chapter 10 verse 1 to 14. And that's where our text is coming from. And I discovered some things there that opened up unto me that I felt like I want to share with you. But because I really want you to get what the word of the Lord is saying to us, this will be divided into a three-part series, Relentless Faith. So please, when you begin to read in Joshua chapter 10 from verse 1, we read about the king of Jerusalem who heard that the Israelites had destroyed the city of Ai. And he was fearful, and he went to get 4 other kings to come together with him to help him fight the Israelites. And what they did is they went and attacked the city of Gibeon, because the Gibeonites had made a pact with Israel when they tricked Joshua, of course. But that's a subject for another time. But when they were there, Gibeonites then sent a message to Joshua for help. And because Jerusalem was the target, and the king of Jerusalem at the time knew that they were the target, they went and got 4 other kings. So there were 5 kings who basically came against the people of God. And when you go into verse 9, please read the whole text when you have time, but I want to concentrate on verse 9, 10, and 11. And verse 9 says, Joshua, when he got the message from the Gibeonites, Joshua therefore came upon them suddenly, having marched all night from Gilgal. Verse 10 says, so the Lord routed them before Israel, killed them with a great slaughter at Gibeon, and chased them along the road that goes to Beth Horon, and struck them down as far as Azekah and Makkedah. And it happened as they fled before Israel and were on the desert of Beth Horon, that the Lord cast a large hailstones from heaven on them as far as Azekah, and they died. There were more who died from the hailstones than the children of Israel killed with the sword. One thing that I really picked up here in verse 9, and I want to talk to you in this first part. Let me just give you the title for the first part. It is the power of determination. The power of determination. Because you see, you cannot separate faith and determination. The two are actually twined one to the other. The Bible says in verse 9, when Joshua received a message from the Gibeonites about these 5 kings that have come against them, because the actual target was Israel, that Joshua immediately began marching. And the Bible says that Joshua, he marched throughout the night. Now, you know, most of us, when it is night, we prefer to sleep and wait for the morning when the light comes up before we do anything. When things are difficult, before we do anything to change them, we're waiting for a time that is better before we do anything to make our situation better. Like now with the pandemic and everything that's going on and the challenges that we are facing, there are many people that are waiting until everything is over, because right now we are in the night. But the relentlessness of Joshua and the men of valor of Israel, they were so determined, they had the relentless faith that when they got the message of an imminent attack on their lives, the Bible says they made their way to Gibeon and they marched throughout the night. And the Bible says in verse 2, when they got there at the break of day, when it finally became light, the Bible says, so the Lord, when they got there, so the Lord routed the enemies of the Israelites and killed them with a great slaughter. Now, this is not, the Bible says the Lord. Joshua and his men arrived at Gibeon. but it was the Lord who killed their enemies. It was the Lord who fought the enemies of Israel. The Bible says that so the Lord routed them before Israel, killed them with a great slaughter at Gibeon, chased them along the road that goes to Beth Horon, and struck them down as far as Azekah and Makkedah. So it was the Lord who in the end fought for Joshua and the Israelites. Verse 11 is very important, but what verse 11 tells us is that it so happened that when the Israelites were chasing these enemies, these 5 kings and their armies, the Bible says that the Lord caused hailstones from heaven to come down on them and to kill a lot of them. The Bible says there were more who died from the hailstones than those who died from the swords of the Israelites. With other words, what we learn from this is that the determination of the Israelites, the determination of Joshua, the relentless faith that Joshua had, but they made them and caused them to march throughout the night. They were like, we are not going to sleep, we are not going to wait for daylight, there is something happening and we are going to keep on moving. So the Bible says they marched throughout the night, and when they showed up, God also showed up. And this is what faith does. The Bible says faith is the evidence of things not seen, the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. That means when Joshua moved in faith with a determination, the power that the enemies of Israel saw was actually when God came and fought with the Israelites, because God showed up when the Israelites showed up. And I want to tell somebody that while it is night in your life, while it is night in your situation, and you feel like there is nothing that you can do, don't go to sleep. Don't wait until things become better. Start moving. Don't waste your dream and say, when days become brighter, I will start something. Start now, because when you start, God will be waiting for you where your destination will end up. It is the Lord who routed them and killed the enemies of Israel because they showed up at the place. Many a times we fail to show up. Many a times we wait for the night to pass. We wait for the troubles to pass. We wait for light to break, and then only we start moving. And by the time the light breaks, someone else has already begun moving during the night, and they have surpassed you, and the blessing, the breakthrough that was meant to be yours, now someone else has claimed it, because when the light came, the Bible says God is light. When the light came, when day broke, they were there, and God was there waiting for them and ready to help them. Your determination will move the hand of God in your favor. You need to be determined when things are difficult in life, when things are pressing against you, when everything seems to be heavy upon you. It is your determination that will move the hand of God in your favor. So what am I telling you today? That a part of faith, relentless faith, is to be determined and to push even when it seems to be difficult, to keep on pushing even when it seems to be hard, to keep on marching forward even when it seems like it is not safe to do so. You need to keep on doing it, because that is what it means to be relentless. What is a relentless person? A relentless person is someone who keeps trying and never gives up. They never give up until they get their breakthrough. They never give up until they get their blessing. They never give up until God answers their prayers. The Bible says that there was a man called Daniel, and he prayed for 21 days. And the Bible says he only stopped praying when the angel arrived with the answer. You and I, my brother, my sister, we need to have the same relentlessness. We need to have the same determination, because that's the type of faith that yields results. The Bible tells us that, and it happened as they fled. That's verse 11 now. It happened as they fled before Israel and were on the descent of Beth Horon, that the Lord, not the Israel, the Lord opened the heavens and rained down a storm of hail on the enemies of Israel. There was one army, the Israelites, fighting 5 armies of 5 different kings, and they had the victory. And they appeared to be strong because of their determined faith. Let me tell you, in the sight of your enemy, when you are a determined man, when you are a determined woman, you will always appear strong before your enemies, before anything that threatens your life, because God will be by your side, because your determination will always move the hand of God in your favor. It is Joshua and his man's determination that made them powerful before their enemies. It is their determination that they didn't see the hand of God, but Joshua knew that's faith. Joshua knew that God is with them. The enemies didn't see that it was God, they just knew that the Israelites were a strong nation and a force to be reckoned with. When you are determined, you will suddenly come upon your victory, upon your breakthrough, upon your blessing. Because the Bible says, when we read there in verse 9, the Bible says, when Joshua heard the news from the Gibeonites that 5 kings were coming against him, Joshua therefore came upon them suddenly. He came upon the enemies of Israel suddenly. You will stumble upon your blessing suddenly when you are a determined person. You will come upon your breakthrough suddenly when you are not timid and fearful, but somebody who is brave and who has relentless faith to say that I know that God is going to do this for me. The Bible says, and I want to read with you here. The Bible says in Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 39, Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 39, it says, but we, the children of God, me and you, but we are not among them that are timid on the path of distraction. But in other words, when you are timid, when you are fearful, you are automatically on the path of destruction. But he says, but we are among the faithful ones on the path to the preservation of the soul. When you have faith sets you on a path of preservation. Faith sets you on a path of victory. Faith sets you on a path of winning, and having a winning mentality will always make you to be strong. No matter the situation, no matter the condition you are facing, I've come to tell you this morning, all you need to do to make it and to be victorious is to not sleep when it is night. Do not say, I'm waiting for things to get better. Now, my brother, now, my sister, is the time to start moving in faith and be determined that you are going to have the victory. Because when you are determined, when you and I are determined, the hand of God automatically begins to move in our favor. Join me again next week when we do the second part of Relentless Faith. God bless you.